This is Autogefühl, a new episode with Thomas, and today we're going to take a look at the all-new Seat Leon ST Cupra. ST, the E-State version, is not new, and also Cupra is not new, but this combination, the E-State plus the performance version, this combination is all new and it's very interesting because with this car you can combine actually a very practical car for your everyday driving and still have a lot of fun with this performance. We already know this combination from the Volkswagen Corporation, for example lately with the Volkswagen Golf R variant, which, well, costs a lot more money, over 40,000 euros here in Germany, for example, and with a little bit less money, the Skoda Octavia VRS, which is just over 30,000 euros. This one here, as it stands right now, is 34,000 euros. This one here is the Seat Leon ST Cupra 280. And same as in the hatch version, there's the 280 version and the 265 version. This first of all tells you something about the horsepower. So 280 horsepower from that 2-liter turbo petrol engine. And it also tells you something more about the feature that this car has. And today we're going to take a look at the feature, especially for the 280 version, exterior, interior, and of course of the driving. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm very glad you joined us. Let's go! Starting here in the front, we got bigger air intakes and a bigger front grille here in the front. Well, this one is not bigger, but it's black with the Cupra logo. But here the air intakes at the lower part, they are bigger. And we still got the very dynamic headlight, one of, well, the most dynamic shaped headlights right now, and I think it looks very good, especially with the daytime running lights. And what is quite interesting is that the hood is overlapping a little bit over the lights. From the side profile, what do we see? We have black mirror caps here in the Cupra version and special alloys. The 280 version comes with these ones here, 19-inch alloys, very beautiful in this B-color style, red brake calipers and also quite a large brake discs for this kind of vehicle. The 265 version, however, has 18-inch alloys only from serial production. They still look quite nice, but this is kind of the main differentiation between the two models. Besides, you know, this 15 horsepower more or less doesn't make such a difference. It's more about a little bit of styling, the bigger alloys, and there you see that this creates a small price difference. So and then we now come to the main difference to the hatch version. This one here, the E-State, is now 4.54 meters long, and that's 28 centimeters longer than the hatch version. So in the middle class or upper middle class, you often have, it's the case that the sedan and the E-State is kind of the same size, but here in this compact car class, the E-State is really longer, and that gives you more room on the inside, of course. You could say it's not that agile as the hatch version, of course, but we'll find out more about that one later. However, here now in the design profile, we see it's still a very beautiful E-State. We already know that from the basic ST version, because we have a slightly falling roofline, not too much actually, that you don't lose too much space. We've got a small rear wing here, and also here in the Cupra version, we've kind of an extended wing part which flows here onto the rear part. It's quite an interesting piece. I'm not sure what I should think about it anyway. And then we got this splitty design line still, which is kind of typical for the Seat Leon. But they could really use it very well here for the E-State, because as the design lines are splitted, it doesn't, you know, you don't really realize it's a different car. The one is ending here and then the second one is beginning here, and that kind of makes the E-State also look kind of shorter. And then we got this 3D effect here at the rear lights. So altogether, I think some of you already mentioned it, that the Seat Leon ST, especially here now in the Cupra version with the large alloys, looks very, very good for an E-State. And in the rear, the special Cupra signs are here, the Cupra badge 280, even has a special badge for the 280. Then, that's both with the 280 and 265. Got the Cupra logo here. And then at the lower part we got a rear diffuser and 2 exhaust pipes for that 2-liter turbo engine. So, and let's take a look beneath the hood. Autogefühl hydraulic damper test failed. Oh, and this is actually quite hot at the moment. So we don't have hydraulic dampers for the hood. It's not Volkswagen. They have to save a little bit of money somewhere. But you get a very nice engine design. Look at this 2-liter TSI here now with the Cupra logo beneath the hood. This is very beautiful because if you take a look beneath the hood or show it to your friends, you get a nice visual feature here. I think that's pretty nice, really. So as I said, it's quite easy to know the horsepower of this car. In this case, 280 horsepower and 265, of course, for the 265 version. And this one actually accelerates this car in 6 seconds from 0 to 100. Well, that's kind of amazing for a compact family estate. And I'm not sure if we can reach the number here today because we got kind of wet roads, but we'll try it at least. And it's a lot of fun really accelerating this car, although it's just a front-wheel drive car, so you always got a little bit of wheel spin. But in this case, it's also having a front differential lock. So this would help you in the corners when you're like accelerating fast in the corners. Helps a little bit, but of course it's not an all-wheel drive, and you have to think about 280 horsepower just via the front wheels. Well, I think that's really at the maximum possible level. Usually you would need an all-wheel drive to get all the power of that on the ground. So let's take a look at the interior. The door handles from the outside, by the way, pretty solid. And then from the inside, also the interior looks pretty solid, I must say. Here in the Cupra version, we get several special features. For example, the Cupra seats, as you see them, with contrast stitches, Cupra logo imprinted. And you also got a lot more side support than with the serial seats. You can actually pick this full leather option. However, it's also possible to pick the Alcantara inside and artificial leather on the outside option, which I would recommend because it, well, feels better and the seats are also better in general, I think. So I would go for the Alcantara version, which we don't have here right now. But we had that one actually in the hatch review. It's also linked in the video description. So let me sit down. Let's see, the first thing you realize is the steering wheel, of course. It's a very beautiful steering wheel. It's got a very soft and nice surface and a flattened end here with the Cupra logo. Flattened end is always great, especially for people with long legs. White contrast stitches on the inside, and it really has a good size. Not too big, not too small, and we'll talk more about that progressive steering later when we're driving, because this steering is really very great because you don't need long steering ways. The more you turn in, the more the wheels also turn in progressively, that you don't need so long steering ways. Then another nice detail, we got the manual shift version here now, 6-speed, also with the Cupra logo on the upper side. Looks also premium-like. However, for 1,700 euros in Germany extra, you can also pick the dual clutch transmission, which we also recommend because it's also a nice way to shift. However, this one also has well, quite a clean shifting ways, short shifting ways, also a lot of fun. The rest of the Seat interior is, as we're used from Seat, pretty clean. And you see here with the chrome line here and that classic look here in the Leon, also look a little bit of premium. It's of course still a difference to the Audi, for example, but I mean, you pay almost half the price for this car here. So I think also, especially for this price class, you get a really great interior here. Of course, it's not the most emotional interior, but here with the Cupra version, you still got some of these emotional features here. And so altogether, we think this interior is very well done because it's so clean and sporty at the same time. Optional, you also can pick this panoramic roof. You can also open it. So it doesn't go open all the way, but at least the panoramic roof is all the way, and then you can open the first part of it. I can show you that as well. So it's kind of here, and I think it's a very wide opening, so you almost have a convertible feeling here in summer times. So I would always go for this feature here. Brings so much light in the interior and a lot of fun in summer times. So let's take a look at the control screen. Actually, we got a new GPS here with a proximity sensor we know from Volkswagen. I'm showing you again. When I wave my hand here, close to the sensor. We can also use a touch screen here, but you can also use the shortcut keys. Actually, it's quite solid, but you know, we're not too convinced of this GPS. There's the bigger one available, for example, in the Skoda Octavia, which is way better in my opinion. But of course, well, it's kinda not the state of the art, but you get along with it. There are better ones, but there are also worse ones. In general, here from controlling, the haptical and also the sound feeling of the buttons, it's all pretty solid, as we know that from the Volkswagen Corporation, so that's very much fine. And here the central instrument, we got Cupra logo here as well, and these white numbers also looks pretty clean. Reminds me a little bit of Audi, these instruments. I'm sorry, Audi. I recently learned that you also just say Audi in English, so we don't have to create an extra English brand. Well, but here in the Seat, you see this interior. I want to know your opinion now on that one, especially here with the 280 Cupra version. What do you think about the interior and especially about these emotional sporty details? Now we switch back to the rear compartment. So let's go. Of course, we're in the compact segment here, so we shouldn't expect too much. Got the seat as I would be sitting here now, as a rather tall driver, 1.86 meters. You see the space for the knees is kind of limited, so you get more space, for example, in the Skoda Octavia VRS. You have to imagine that it's of course also a longer car. Actually, as a driver now, I could sit a little bit more on the front, that would work, and then we would have a little bit more space. So I think it's still fine for the knee space. With my head now, well, I tend to use the panoramic roof, but if you have this panoramic roof, which you can also open, you always lose some headroom. Here in this case, for me, it would still work. I'm just touching the ceiling with my hairs, not with my head. So that's still okay, not the most headroom, of course. So if you are driving with a lot of tall people in the rear compartment, quite often, you should maybe not go for the panoramic roof, otherwise you can. And in general, the seating position is, well, it's kind of comfortable. It's kind of, you also got this kind of sporty side support here at the left side. And you also don't lean back too far, so you got a pretty upright position here in the rear compartment. That's what I like. Of course, you got more space, way more space than in the hatch version, and that's a clear advantage here of the E-State Cupra. Flipping the Seat logo here, and we go to the compartment which is crucial for this very car. Just press once and then the cover removes, and you see this is a clear advantage in comparison to the hatch here in the Seat Leon ST Cupra. You got a very huge trunk, over 1,400 liters in capacity when you flip the seats even. And that's actually also possible quite easily. Very good solution, you just have to pull the trigger here. 1/3, 2/3 split, and here, and that's it, and you got a quite flat surface, and that's just great for your everyday usability of this car. So I can just recommend it here. You see the design line is also limiting the trunk just a little bit. That's quite okay still. Also here, very well done here, this loading, although okay, it gets scratches quite easily, but it looks at least very good at first sight. So what do you think about the trunk? I think this is kind of the crucial factor why families should go for this car. You still get a combi car, which is not too long. However, you get a performance car, and you can actually also go to the maybe department store or something like that on the weekends and get a lot of stuff in there, or to Home Depot or whatever. So let's get to some driving. First of all, the most important feature in my opinion is this progressive steering I've talked about. That means when I go into a berm here, to a corner, I don't need long steering ways. So you always keep two hands at the steering wheel, don't have to grab around or something like that. And if you switch to another car, you immediately realize what it means actually. It's not only for sporty driving, it's also just comfortable in everyday driving, I must say. Of course, with the 280 horsepower here, you got superb performance. I mean, 6 seconds from 0 to 100 in a compact car, that's really great. And you got a special Cupra mode here as well, and then you have a little bit more sound, and also throttle input reacts quite faster. Generally, don't feel immediately that it's an E-State version. It still feels quite compact. Don't really feel it's that longer than the hatch. Maybe it's just a sound feeling, because you know something tells you that there is a little bit of a longer car behind you, but it's not because the car behaves so different than the hatch. So let's put the throttle down now. Whoa! Yeah, I said for this compact hatch here, it's a really superb acceleration, and you can almost not hold the camera tight. So you really got an exploding car here, although it's just front wheel driven. And if you're not on the racetrack, you don't feel it so much that the rear acceleration is actually missing. This front differential lock actually does a quite well job as well. So you don't have so much wheel spin as if you would not have it. Then from the suspension, here in all the Cupra models you have the adaptive suspension, which is really a nice thing to have, because if we go faster here now, they get a little bit stiffer, give you more support from the road, but still remain kind of comfortable. I mean, the Volkswagen suspensions are good in general, yes. Maybe the BMW suspension are a little bit better, even just if you look at the corporations. But I'm very, very happy with the suspension here. So it's not a car that you would say, okay, I own a sports car, can drive, have a lot of fun here with the sporty driving, but I like comfort. No, this really combines both. So it won't be a problem for your family, for example, if you think, okay, I want to drive sporty on my own, but I want to have it comfortable for my family. That's really fine, no problem. Also when you got the dog, for example, in the trunk, that's pretty good. Even if you're in that Cupra mode here. So altogether, you got a very good connection to the road. Really a lot of fun to drive, and still you don't spend too much money. So I think this one is also the main concept here of that car. You know, you got a reasonable price, very good Seat quality, and still a lot of performance and a lot of fun. That I think is a combination a lot of people will fall for. Now again, performance in the corner, you saw again, I don't need to turn the steering wheel around that much, and that's really just such a good feature. The Golf GTI, for example, the Golf R also has that one, and also the Skoda Octavia VRS, they have that in common. And well, we also had some other sporty cars recently which did not have it, and I think nowadays a sporty car also needs this progressive steering. What about the missing DSG? Well, I think it's pretty fine. Of course, I would love the GSG always, but here with the manual transmission we're also kind of fine, because we got the short shifting ways here, and also everything feels kind of high class when shifting. The shifter is kind of fixed in the position, and then when you put in another gear you don't feel any resistance, so that also feels high class. Altogether, you sometimes forget you're in the Seat as you maybe would use to use it for a couple of years ago. This one is really a step further. I think they really worked on the brand, worked on the quality, and I think it's also a leap forward using the Cupra version here as top of the line. It speaks for the whole brand itself, and I think it's one of the very hot tips right now on the market, Seat and Skoda, because you got this very good price-performance ratio, and here in the sporty models you can also have a lot of driving fun. So let me conclude about the all-new Seat Leon ST Cupra. First of all, in comparison to the hatch Cupra version, I think you don't feel it too much that you actually got a longer car. It's still very sporty to drive, so if you need more space for your family, that's really a fine pick. In comparison to the Skoda Octavia VRS, I must say, the seats are less comfortable. So if you go, well, a lot of times on the long journeys, so for example, you should maybe go for the Skoda Octavia. However, this one is a sportier car, so if you rather like that sporty feeling, you should go for that one, not for the Octavia. So altogether, for such a compact estate, you got a really aggressive sporty car, a lot of power, and we also heard a very nice sound, I must say. Superb is this progressive steering for everyday driving and also for sporty driving, so really convincing. Altogether, also the interior was quite convincing. Everything looks like a very fine quality, sometimes almost premium-like. We also got a nice styling at the exterior, one of the most beautiful estates in my opinion at the moment. So altogether a great price-performance ratio for this car in my opinion. So I can just really rate this car pretty high. Maybe even, well, I said the seats could be a little bit more comfortable in this case. And also you get a little bit more space in the Skoda Octavia VRS if you have a lot of times these rear passengers. But still, especially for a young family, this is a really great car, and also the driver can enjoy this sporty atmosphere and also the performance of the engine. So, thank you again for watching Autogefühl. I want to know your opinions on that car. What do you conclude from our review about the Seat Leon ST Cupra? And I hope to see you at the next Autogefühl episode with Thomas and my friends.